Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of SOMSpotlight. I'm Angela Young-Bonner, and I'm filling in for Craig Smolders tonight. And I'm here with my dad, Rob Young. How's it going?
Oh, not bad. You've got some pretty big shoes to fill in Craig's absence here, but we'll try and roll through this. So, hey, just do the best you can.
Yeah, I'm usually in the control room, so it's kind of a different seat I'm in now. So I'm in this one, and I'm doing the controls. So we'll see how that
Yep.
goes tonight.
Yep. The cool thing is that Laura's got she's a good talker, and so she'll just she's going to tell us all about her racing career, and I'm excited to hear the whole story.
Me too, because it's kind of like she's a lot like me, where like grew up watching her dad race. So to get into a car after watching your dad, it's pretty cool. So it'll be cool to hear all her little stories. So we're gonna let Lora come in here and tell us all about her racing career. So let's welcome Lora.
Hey.
Hi,
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
We're really happy to have you on here.
Yes.
You're the first that we've been able to interview. So it's cool to get your perspective. And that's what the fans want to know. You know, they want to know all about Lora, how she got started, what she does. So we're excited to hear everything.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to tell it.
Okay.
So I have to ask you, because someone commented this, and I saw you laughing at it, and it says, "Where's the fat cat?" I need to hear this story first.
And believe it or not, the fat cat is probably out working on my car. Believe it or not, he's been actually, you know what, we just were in the midst of building another Monte Carlo. We didn't decide, well, when we first got this new one, last year I ran the yellow and black one. We thought that this car, was going to be built better, which it is. But we didn't expect to get our hands as dirty as we had to this winter. So we started tearing apart. Well, then fussy dad, it was, oh, well, this isn't, how I would do it, or this isn't how I like it. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh. So you end up digging in, and then we've been working on it, I would say probably 8 weeks straight. And like, he's done so much for me this year. He's put so much work into it. I'm lucky. I just started to learn how to weld actually too. He taught me a little bit this way. I mean, we were kind of in a rush at the same time, but it's nice. It's cool to grab the welder and be like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't know, the fat cat is her dad, Brad Authier.
Who doesn't know?
No, most people should know, but just in case.
If not, Mr. Excitement. What other name? Yeah.
So we're gonna get into Laura's racing career. So, Dad, do you have any questions you want to start off with?
Well, actually, I think that you have a picture of her in Brad or in Matt Wathier's car. This would be, and I'll just kind of start with, this was the Powder Puff race. This was your first race. So go ahead and tell us about this one.
Actually, believe it or not, I wasn't even expecting to race this night. We were all sitting here. It was a fun night, and Matt and Dad had a couple beers, and next thing you know, I kept bugging them for a little bit. Can I get in? Can I get in? Can I get in? And it was always, no, you can't do that. Like it's too much. We can't like. Then all of a sudden, Matt just said it was about 2 hours before the races started. And Matt's like, you know what? Let's just go. So it's all Matt's fault as to why I've bugged my dad for so long to get in one now. Because after I got into that, it was so exciting. And it was, in the first race was the Powder Puff race, actually. And I won it, which was really cool. That's a feeling, like, never getting in something, and whether it's 2 cars or it's 10 cars, it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. So did you always want to get into a race car, or was it just kind of like a spur of the moment thing?
You know what? As a teenager, I was always in other stuff. Like my dad's career, obviously in the late 90s and the early 2000s, was like through the roof, right? So I was just being a teenager, but I was in like volleyball, basketball. I did dance from the time I was 8 until I was 19. And then I got married young. I ended up getting married at 22 and was trying to start a family. So at that time, like, I wasn't really thinking of it. And then after this in 2014 was when, or 13, I was like, no,
I'm hooked.
we gotta try this.
So I have a couple questions here.
Yeah.
In Matt's car, was that a Burt transmission or a Saginaw transmission? Was a standard transmission? Had
No,
you ever driven anything?
It was a Burt transmission. And you know what? I never ever drove one before. I've never even taken my dad's out of the shop before. And I got in this, and my dad taught me how to drive it in, I don't know if you remember back in the back where the field used to be, and they would let you run around back there.
Yep.
Well, my dad took me over there. He actually hung over the side of the car, and he taught me how to drive that Burt transmission. And you know what? I didn't have, it was actually easy to me. I didn't find it difficult at all.
Well, that's pretty. I did the same thing with Angela. Actually, yeah, she won the Powder Puff race they had here just recently. But I was so worried that the whole week that, you know, she said she wants to drive it, and then Ryan kind of showed her how to shift the thing, and she went out there, and I'll tell you, I was impressed. So
yeah.
And then from there, you got into your own car. So I think Angela's probably got another shot here of your first race car coming up.
Yeah.
Don't you, Angela?
Right. I got it. Give me some time here. I'm multitasking.
Okay. Not that, so this is your first race car. This is a Thunderstock.
Yeah.
And because you and I were talking about this, but I want you to share it with our audience. In my first year, my rookie year, I completely destroyed a street stock, and I mean, it wasn't even, I couldn't fix it after that. But you rolled yours over in the first couple of nights there too.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was oh yeah, there it is. So I just, you know what, I was coming at it, I actually remember it. I was coming out of turn 2, and me and Marcel kind of got into it a little bit. I think I was coming up, and he was already close enough to the wall, and he hit the right rear, and it put me head into the wall first, and then I flipped. And it had to have been the hottest day of the year. And then on top of it, there was a severe thunderstorm and tornado warning while that was going on. So that was a treat. But the only thing like I really remember was I was hanging upside down, and Stewie actually was one of the first to come up, and he's just like, "Are you all right? All right?" And I just kept telling him, I'm like, "It's too hot. Like, it's hot in here. Get me out." Like, and you're hanging upside down, right? So your belts and stuff are so snug, and I'm trying to like reach on the roof to like push yourself up, and it just wasn't working for me, but we managed to get out of there.
I remember that night, and I was like in the stands, and all of a sudden, like, it was like you heard this big like boom, and like I swear the wall moved, and I'm like, who hit the wall? And I'm like coming down and looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Lora. And I'm freaking out now at that point. I'm like, is she okay? And like, it literally, they didn't take you long to get out, but it felt like it was so long. Like, especially, I can't even imagine being upside down. And I know when I had the belts on, like, my dad would always tighten them, and I'm like, I can't breathe. So I can only imagine being upside down and having the tight belts and just being like, oh my gosh. And it's hot, like you said.
And that's why I said, like, it was the hottest day of the year. And like, we have a severe thunderstorm, like in a tornado ready to come up. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And it literally felt like it took a half hour to probably get me out. And the whole side of my driver's side window was all caved in. So I couldn't even get out that way. So I had to wait to get my helmet and everything off before I could even like climb through the other side of my passenger door. I was like, oh my goodness.
But yeah, you still got into it again.
Pardon?
you still got into the car again, like shortly after.
Yes. So I actually was going on vacation with Bonnie that week. We were actually supposed to leave that night. And we were going on like a week straight of just race, like going to watch racing. And I said, after all this happened, we got it home. And I said to my dad, I said, I'll worry about it when I get home. Like, I'm not worried about it. And he says, nope, you're going to be in that car next Saturday. And I said, what? Like, have you seen this thing? Like, he says, nope. He says, because if you don't get in it next Saturday, you're not going to get back in it. And I said, fair enough. I was already out the door on my way. I think it was Humberstone. I was on my way there with Bonnie, and I get a message on my phone. He started this thing. Like, I remember when it was rolled over, like just fluid, like just pouring out of it. And like, he sent me this message and video. He actually started it within hours of me leaving. And he brought it over to Teddy's Customs that week and everything for me. And he got the front clip and everything bent back. Like, by the time I got home, other than putting on the body and straightening that all out, he had it done for me.
I think
that is amazing.
Dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm very, very, very lucky to have my dad, for sure.
Well, so here's a couple things. And I mean, you've been upside down. I've been upside down twice, and you made reference to the fact that you couldn't get out of the driver's door. You had to climb out the other way. And I've tried to explain this to some of the guys, especially that when that car flips over and the metal rolls around a roll cage, you can't get out of there as fast as you may when that thing's sitting straight up. So that's why I'm such an advocate for safety. And everything we can do to keep our drivers safe in a situation like that. And that all comes from being there and knowing what it's like, knowing when you said to yourself, you were pushing yourself up. I remember that distinctly, pushing myself up so I could get my helmet off and try and get out of the car. Because lots of times with your helmet on, you can't get out. So yeah, I'm glad you spoke about that because man, it's just unless you've been there, you don't know what it's like. But
it's a ride.
So we got the car all back together for you, and I remember seeing pictures of it with the roof kind of still caved over, and you drove it the next week.
Yeah.
But before we go too far, we gotta find out, what does Lora do for a living and what does she do during the week? So tell us what, when you're not racing, what do you do?
I am actually, for work-wise, I am a personal support worker. I work with the elderly. I've been doing it for 12 years now, and I'm in home care. And I've been in home care since 2014 with the same company. And I absolutely love it. I went into college. Well, I actually went into high school knowing that I wanted to be somewhere in the health field. I wasn't sure at that point when or what I wanted to do. But then once I was out of school and I was working a full-time job, I was kind of like, this is it. This is reality. I got to figure out what I want. And I started off with this, and I'm like, you know what? If I want to advance into nursing or something like that, I can continue doing that in the future. And I'm content with where I'm at now. I love my job. It's funny to see me going from being a caregiver to going to racing on the weekends, because it's a total opposite spectrum.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm a mom of Lorelai, which I'm sure everybody sees her around. She's running around the races all the time, and she's 5. She'll be 6 in August. So
wow, yeah, we all love her. She's a lot of fun to have around, and it kind of reinforces that whole family thing. You're there because your dad was racing, and I mean he's still there. He's got another Thunder stock that Jake is going to be driving, and a late model. And I see your mom Nikki; she's there quite often. I know you've got 2 sisters and a brother, Tina, Alicia, and David.
Yes.
And now also I got to meet your grandma, Norma.
Yes.
And she's a sweetheart.
Yes.
And you and I were talking about that. I met her one night, and she drives herself to the racetrack. I remember her standing by the trailer, and your mom introduced me to her, and I'm thinking this sweet lady is Brad's mom.
Yeah.
Bad Brad? Seriously? Yeah. So I kind of made a little joke of it, but she's a sweetheart. You got and the whole family. Like when I'm saying, grandma, you got your dad, you got you, and you got your daughter. It's really great that the whole family can get together. I've said this before in another show about, man, if my family didn't support me when I was racing, I really wouldn't be racing. That's a whole big thing about it. I mean, unfortunately, that's what we talk about mostly is racing stuff. But anyway, I just thought we would stop for a minute or two and talk a little bit about what do you do and your family and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So Angela's going to carry on here. Probably got another. We're going to look at the next shot here.
Well, I just want to know, why a Thunderstock? What made you want a Thunderstock?
I had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't know really about a Thunderstock specifically. I came home one day and my dad goes, "Hey, we got you a car. We won you a car." And I'm like, "Oh, well, what did we win?" And then, from Jody Mason. And then that's kind of how it all started. He didn't, I did ask, when Eric Vanderveer was racing for us a few years back, one of my good friends, I asked, because it sat in our other shop for about a season or two, I think, after. And I did ask to run that, and he's like, "No, you're not open wheel. Not a chance."
It does take some convincing, because I remember when I had to convince my family, and I think I eventually just told them, I'm like, I'm racing, so whether you like it or not, you're either going to support me or I'm just going to try and figure it out myself.
And that's it. As a woman, right? It's just there's more of a protective
daddy's little girl.
Yeah. And it's there, and that even when I rolled, my dad, other than Stewie, my dad was the first one I could hear behind me. Mm-hmm. And that had to have been the most relaxing, knowing that he's there, he sees what's going on, and with the experience and the years and everything that he's I know I'm okay. Yeah. If something's wrong, he's going to make sure I'm fine. Yeah. And that was, I think it's just as, even I'm a daddy's girl. So it's, there's a very, very protective instinct, I think, for a father to, no, it's not happening.
Yep. I know exactly where you're coming from, because it's like you said, being a woman and having your dad race, they know everything that could go wrong. So it takes a lot of convincing for them, not that they don't support you, but for them to just kind of get on board with it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's a lot. That's, I can't, even at this point, with Lorelai, I can't imagine, I want to get her into racing, but you still, those thoughts are in your mind of just protective, right? But I think for just being a man and having a daughter, it's different.
Yes.
I think it's different. It's totally different compared to when my dad let my brother drive. It was nothing, like you said, my first time, in Matt's car, my dad was ripping on them seatbelts, making sure they were as tight as they could possibly go. I remember it clearly. And you get a pep talk every single time you go out.
Yes. Yes.
It's different. It's different. It's totally different.
Well, my dad, we raced in the same class, and he would make sure that I was in the car fully Hans device, hooked up, belts were tightened before he would even go and get in the car. It was, no one was allowed to put me in other than him. And it was it's almost a calming thing too, right? Because the protective thing, it's okay, he's doing it right.
Yeah. So. Yep. I agree.
Well, I'm going to jump in here because, I was letting you go on because everything you say is 100%. Yeah, us dads, we want to make sure that those girls are real safe, and we have to, because we got our wives behind us. If something goes wrong, we're in big trouble. So, but just from a woman's standpoint, you girls have to overcome a little bit more than a guy just jumping in the car, because you kind of got to go out there and prove to these guys that you're every bit as good a racer as they are. And so
Absolutely.
you right now, I mean, we've had girls out there before, but you, Laura, we've got Harley Hornick, Paige Lanou, and Jessica Van Hall, to name a few. And you all, I know that there's dads just like me out there that are worried about their girls being out there. And so I now that it's happened, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what I was worried about, because they're probably safer than the guys. They don't take as many risks. And
That's it. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, you hit it so, yeah, absolutely. Like, from a man's point of view, or like, I always say this, a woman's intuition, it's there. And you know what? There's choices that I just look sometimes and I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm shaking my head in my helmet. But at the same time, you know what? At the end of the day, they're boys.
Yep.
They're boys. And it's so funny, you know, that you say that, because it's night and day with a woman compared to a man.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like we're more like conscious of what bad could happen, whereas a man's like, let's just do it and hope it doesn't happen.
That's it. I said that my very first year. I thought, you know what, a woman, and it's almost like a woman can predict something before it happens. Like, I've noticed, like, even when I'm following somebody, it's like there's that sense that just kicks in, and I say it's the woman in me for sure.
Well, and here's, I'm going to compliment you on something here, and because I've watched you, and a lot of guys will, if they spin out, sometimes they'll wait and they'll draw a caution. You never do that.
No.
You're always thinking about, well, you know what? If I spin out, I don't want to cause a caution. I'm going to get going as fast as I can and get right back in this thing. There's not too many guys who are that smart to think about that. Well, you know, I don't want to hold this race up. No, you know what? But the girls, you for sure. And again, I'm complimenting you on this, because last thing we want to do is have a caution-filled event, because it's not too fan friendly, is it? But
no, and we have enough of those.
You've taken it upon yourself to make sure that, you know what, I'm not going to cause a caution, and if I do, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I get going again, so I don't have to call the tow trucks and all this other stuff. So I mean, I compliment you on that. That's something that you've done. Watched you. So it's good. Yeah. So go ahead, Angela. Are you moving on to another?
Well, I think we didn't cover this. What year were you in the Thunderstock? Like, what year is the one that's posted right now?
That would have been 2019. And then, because 2020 was when COVID and everything hit. And I ended up, I think, going to Merrittville for one race in 2020. And then last year was my first full season.
So I'll pull up last year. So, and I think the bottom one is you at Merrittville, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that was your 2020 race.
Yes. Yeah.
Season race.
And that was the only race I did in 2020.
So let's hear about your year this year, because you definitely did a lot this year. Like, you definitely grew tremendously.
Huge. And you know what? It was funny, because the first time I went out on this new track, I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much room. And that just made me feel so much more comfortable. I was able to do more, and I was able to pick up more speed, and I was able to actually start racing with everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it felt so good. And you just could feel by the end of the year, I was getting so much faster and so much faster. And the guys were even telling me, like Gordy and all them, you're getting so much better. You're getting so much better. And you know what? That gave me once the confidence came, it started to get easier.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a big thing with racers is as soon as you get that confidence, you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, and then you start kind of pushing the limits a little bit, but you're doing a little more, which is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I see that this year, if I'm not mistaken, you finished 15th in the points. Mm-hmm. And I keep saying this about the Thunderstock division. I think there's probably 40 cars. So
Yes.
most people would be real happy in a year like that, where your first full year to finish 15th in points. So that's pretty stout in itself. So again, congratulations to you on that. But I'm looking at these pictures, and of course we see Lorelei there,
Yeah.
and I see Bonnie Gervais, who is your
Yes.
best friend.
Yes.
And your greatest supporter, and
Absolutely.
she's your crew chief.
Yes. Yes.
So and I know that she's very dedicated. I've talked to her several times, and we'd all be glad to have somebody like Bonnie on our crew. But tell us a little about the relationship between you and Bonnie.
Oh gosh, it actually started through racing, which was absolutely a blessing. She came into my life at a great time. She has never doubted me. She's always there for me and Lorelai. Anything I could ask for, she does, and vice versa. We just have a connection, and I think it grew because we both enjoy the racing atmosphere, and like we travel with each other, and most of our trips are racing trips, which is awesome to have a racing buddy, right? Like, who could go wrong with that? And yeah, so it our relationship pretty much grew over racing, and then we also both have a love for baseball, and we go to baseball games and stuff, and we just have a great time with each other. And we're she's my ride or die. I love her to death.
Yeah,
and she loves every
we all see it anyway. Go ahead, Angela.
Sorry. Yeah, she would send me photos of you guys working on the cars, and like she was in her glory. And it's
yeah,
amazing to see so many like women that just love just getting their hands dirty and racing and being into it. So
and that's it. And that's, you know what, one of my goals my first year, like I said to her, like I want other women and other girls to know, like, you don't have to know everything. You don't, like, you would think, like, even with me being around for 32 years with my dad, like I was saying before, like he's been at it for 40 years now. And like, you would think that I would know a lot, but I didn't. Like I said, in my teenage years, I was doing my own thing. I was in sports. I was, doing all the other stuff. So I now, until the last, I would say 4 or 5 years, did I really start learning a lot. And my dad kind of looks at me sometimes and he goes like, you should know this. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. But it's like, I want women and like females to know that it's okay. You don't have to know what exactly you're doing. If one of us can learn it, we can teach the next one. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do with Bonnie. Like, she didn't even know how to change a tire, the first year, but those were basic skills I knew that I was able to pass on to her.
Yep. Yeah, she texted me that day that you taught her, and she's like, I know how to change a tire now. And I was like, way to go, Bonnie.
Yeah. Like, and it's just little things like that. And to be totally honest, that makes a woman feel good. Like that, mm-hmm. Like, I can do this. I don't need someone else to do it for me. If you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of women that I just wish would know, like, you don't have to know everything. Come join, come have fun. You're going to learn something along the way.
Well, even just changing a tire, that's such a life skill. Like, that's not even just a racing skill.
That's it. And you learn so many skills.
So, yeah, that's definitely awesome. And
well, I'm going to jump in here again, because if I don't, I won't get a word in edgewise. You said you're learning things, and you and Bonnie are kind of, you learned something to teach her, and yet you have at your disposal your dad. You've got Matt Authier and Jake Hooker, and I can go on and on. I know a lot of those guys over there, and those guys are top-notch, first-class racers. And
Absolutely.
But you're going to go and learn it on your own. You could go ask them, but he said, I learned how to weld this year, and those are that's pretty. Again, another compliment to you, that you're not going to, you say, well, you know what, I know I could go ask those guys, but I'm going to do it on my own. And That's
and you know what? And the next thing too is like, even when my dad is doing something, if I'm out there, he always gets mad at me because I posted something on Facebook a few weeks back that you've never been really cursed at till you hold a flashlight for your dad. Well, that's exactly what it is when I'm trying to observe something that he's doing, or that he's trying to. And that's how, like, this year when I picked up the welder, I just kind of watched, right? Like, just see what he's doing, how it's working. And you might not get it the first 5 times that you see it, but eventually it's going to click. And I'm more of a hands-on person. So I'll watch once or twice. And then, you know what? Let me try it.
That is again amazing. I don't want to keep complimenting you. You're gonna go out of here thinking, man, I'm the best there is. You won't get that helmet on. I'm sorry, but you know what? When I see something that I think you need to be complimented on, I'm going to probably be the first person to do that. So you're doing a great job. So I guess this year you said you've got this car just about all ready to go now, and you made a few changes to it. Have you set some goals for yourself for this year?
I always set like little goals. But I also, Jake actually taught me last year to start setting goals like kind of on like that night kind of thing. Because I used to always say like yearly goals. And then I started getting to the point where I was like, you know what? Let's set a goal every night. Like, whether it's learning something or it's a new position, or it's like the first year I made little tiny goals too. Like, I used to scratch every single feature of my first year until the last 2 nights. And then like I would make little goals like that, like don't scratch. And then you kind of build up from there. But this year, last year I wanted to make 10th in points, and I didn't end up doing that. I'm very hard on myself, I guess. But I'm in a shop full of guys that have won and have done all this great stuff. So when I'm like, oh well, I didn't meet my goal, they harp on me. But I wanted to make 10th last year, but this year I'm going to shoot for the top 8, and I want to get a win.
Well, it goes back to, I remember watching you when you first started, and you have to you gotta finish first, don't you? You gotta finish a race, and it doesn't matter if you're last or 5 laps down. I mean, that's what I said to Angela: finish. And once that the old saying, to finish first, you must first finish, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so set those goals, and that you're gonna get that heat win. If feature is nice and everybody's shooting for that feature, right?
Yeah.
But always tell yourself, every race you enter, I know there's a way I can win this race. So when you go out with that attitude and you say, I know I'm going to try and how can I win this race? And it gets to be very powerful when you start looking at the rest of the field thinking, I'm usually quicker than this guy or that guy. And if this happens or that happens, but I can see, as I've seen your progress the last couple of years, and you're there. We were talking earlier about how sometimes you like to run that high groove because it's a little easier up there, and your dad didn't put that quick box in there for you. You gotta wheel that thing. So once you change that up a little bit, just drive that car where it's comfortable. Yep. And once you start being comfortable, then you can start pushing the envelope a little bit more. So I can see you're getting there. You're getting there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you, Rob.
Yep. And so Angela, I think did you have a few more pictures you wanted to do?
Just the one more before we talk about sponsors and all that. But there was an article written about Lora. So do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so that was the Women's Motorsports News magazine. It's actually a really cool magazine. I started actually following it a few years before I started racing. And then I followed them on Facebook and everything, and they came to see that I was racing, and they actually came to me and asked if they could do an interview. And yeah, that was exciting. That was early of last year, 2021. That was actually put out. So yeah, I got a magazine interview. That was pretty cool. Nobody really knew about it. I didn't say too much, but it's exciting, and it's nice to see that I was able to get it out.
Yeah, there was a lot written about you, which is awesome. Like
Yes.
it's so cool just to see women and get that like word out there that women are racing and like
Yes.
come on out and let's race with those boys.
And that's it. You know what? This whole magazine has to do with women in motorsports all over Canada and the US. Like, it's absolutely amazing, the write-ups. If anybody gets a chance to look it up, you know, it's really impressive to see the different racing, whether it's motocross, dirt, asphalt, go-karts. Like, it's insane the stuff that they have in this magazine, and it's interesting and it's uplifting at the same time to see other women being able to progress the way that they are.
For sure.
Yeah, speaking, and I said I wasn't gonna say this, Laura, but it's a funny story, and you and I talked about this, and you could identify with it. I built a car for a lady back in the early 2000s sometime. Okay, it was a modified.
Yep.
And when the day came for her to get to fit in the seat and everything, first of all, the seat had to be quite a ways ahead, kind of like yours, because you said you're like 5'1", right?
Yes.
And so she sits in the seat and got the belts on and everything. And so I says, you feel okay? And she says, yeah, but there's only one problem. And I said, well, what's that? She says, I can't reach the start button, all that stuff. And I put it up on the dash where everybody else puts theirs. But because she's a woman, she had shorter arms, right? And you said, oh, you had the same problem. And we called her T-Rex because she reminded us of and I know she knows this. If she happens to be watching this thing, she'll probably say, I can't believe you told that story. But it was so funny that she couldn't reach the switches. So I had to move the whole switch panel like about 6 inches out so that she could reach it. And we were talking about that. Yeah, go ahead.
That's
Tell
about the same thing. My dad actually just made me a personalized inside the cockpit. It actually comes out, I would say, probably 6 inches. And it actually comes out and off to the side for me for me to reach it.
Yeah, you know, those are the things you don't think about.
No.
Us guys. Yeah, but anyway, it's just a funny story I thought I'd share.
Yeah.
With you. Okay, go ahead, Angela.
All right. Sponsors, Laura.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, my dad is my biggest sponsor. Brad's Delivery. He's huge, and he's helped me so much over the past couple of years. DSW Maintenance, Teddy's Customs, CDN, Johnny's DJ Service, Nikki's Tupperware. We have Sensi by Alicia, Magnum Signs. And I think that's it.
You got that off the top of your head. I would have had to write all of that down.
Yeah. I try. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but I think that's about it. I'm very grateful. I have a lot of help and a lot of support. So I'm very, very thankful.
Yep, we are all very proud of you, as we are all of the other ladies out there. The little kids love you guys. So keep up the good work. I can't wait to see you back out there this year. And I don't know when you get that first heat win, I think I might have to come over and get a picture in Victory Lane with you.
Absolutely.
That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
All right. And do you have any apparel that you sell, Laura? Or
no, I don't.
Not yet?
No, not yet. Working on it.
I was say you'll have to get Jake on that one. That'll be a thing that you put.
That's
Jake
what I was thinking.
He's good at doing that, so just have him do it. I threw him under the bus. Sorry, Jake. But all right, well, I think we're just about out of time anyway. But as Laura said before, being an Authier, she knew she was going to be talking the whole time.
I can gab for hours.
But thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome to actually see you like a woman for the first time in racing.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will bring more people to want to come on the show, and especially more of the women drivers. So hint, women drivers.
Yes, come on out.
Come on here.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Laura. It's been a lot of fun talking with you. And you're our first woman on the show, and everyone wants to know what do racers do let's get to know these racers a little bit more. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that you shared all that with us.
absolutely. No problem. Anytime.
All right. Well, we will talk to you soon, Laura, and good luck with the
Great.
2022 season.
No problem. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye. So that was Lora Authier on SOMSpotlight. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And also don't forget to join our Southern Ontario Motor Speedway fan zone on Facebook. We have a post right now from Caleb Dick that we're having people vote or predict who they think are going to win the championships this year. So make sure you go and put all of your guesses on there. So what do you think about that, Dad?
I noticed that there was too many votes for Jake, and I'm not.
You can't vote for Jake?
Nope.
You don't have any predictions on who's going to win the late models this year?
Yeah, I would get in a lot of trouble for that.
Okay, what about the Thunderstocks?
Well, of course, I'd like to see a girl win the championship. I'll tell you that would be great. And it could happen. I'm telling you that there's I realize it's right now it's only Paige Lanou that is in our Thunderstock division, but she has got as good a chance as any guy out there to win that championship. So you guys better look out.
She's coming.
Yep, she's coming.
Her and Laura are coming.
Yep.
Okay, what about the mini mods? Do you have a prediction? Or should I just stop?
No, I'm not going to say.
You don't want to get in trouble?
Nope.
All right. Well, it's been a fun interview tonight, and I hope I did okay. Hopefully we can have Craig back next week.
Yeah, like as I said, you've got some pretty big shoes to fill. This is Craig's baby here, and we miss him tonight. So hopefully we get him back here next week. And who do we got on for next week?
Next week we have Gerald Martin.
Jerry Martin?
Jerry Martin.
Okay.
So
I got lots of stories to tell about Jerry.
Yes. So we're super excited for that. So this has been SOMSpotlight. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye.